Boys that are on at the moment, just to get started a little bit, I want you guys to think while Ollie and Jordan talk. Don't be afraid to ask them questions. I mean, talking to both talking to both Ollie and Jordan when they were your age. I mean, they similar thing of asking the question and I guess being a bit afraid to ask a question. There's no wrong questions or interests of what you want to ask here, and I think both of them and all of us moving forward is, we wish we probably would have asked more questions when we were younger. And the whole point of tonight is, to hear from two professional athletes that are young, that one in tennis and one in AFL, that going through the journey of trying to become professionals, the best professionals that they can be. So you guys are on tonight to really listen to a bit of their words and a bit of advice and what they can share with you with their journey thus far. And it's a great opportunity for them to share those things. So anyone that's on tonight, don't be afraid to get amongst it and ask a few questions, because that's what, if everyone just stays quiet, the boys have spoken to me enough, and I've asked them enough questions to get them going. But you guys, anything that comes to mind, don't be afraid to put it out there to start. So just to really welcome both Ollie and Jordan on the call tonight. It's awesome to have them on. Really appreciate their time. And just everyone that doesn't follow AFL, Oli Florent is a member of the mighty AFL Red and White, the Bloods, Sydney Swans. So I know there's a few AFL tragics that barrack for other teams, but we'll eventually bring you over to the bright side of town when Ollie finishes. But he was drafted, was it 2016 as the Swans' #1 pick? Was it 11th overall, Ollie? Was that when you went 11?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And really debuted his first game in 2017, which is pretty incredible to get drafted pretty young and go into a big powerhouse like the Sydney Swans. And then in 2018 was an AFL Rising Star nominee in 2018. Ollie, I think if you played, is it 53 games? Are you not including the win this year, or that's 54?
50. Yeah, we're counting that. Everyone
54?
I can get.
Well, mate,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you came to Adelaide and cleaned up, I thought was fantastic. So well done. And then
Sorry you couldn't be it.
Then the bearded one on Jordan Thompson joining us as well. Obviously a member of the Australian Davis Cup team, was recently in Adelaide where he helped Australia beat Brazil to get us back into the world group of Davis Cup. Your highest ATP 43, is that right?
Yeah, that was right. In the middle of last year.
Middle of last year, current 64 now. Jordan turned pro in 2013. So what I thought we'd go just to Ollie and start with him a little bit, just on his journey. And talking to Ollie before going into this, it was really, those of you that probably don't know much of Ollie. I mean, I know Ollie for a long time. I was very fortunate enough to play with his dad, that was a really good mate, and really followed his journey and still continue to do that with the AFL. But Ollie is a 14, 15-year-old in Melbourne, played a lot of different sport. He played a lot of tennis and was doing well in tennis, played basketball, and also played his AFL. So just on our theme tonight, boys, we're just really trying to focus, and when Jordan and Ollie talk, the three pillars that we're after tonight is the consistency of what they do, the organization skills that they have now moving into the pro ranks, and also the education, whether that's around the well-being stuff that you guys get to hear of in the national academies now, whether it's the nutrition part of it and the sports psych part of it. Emma's on the call tonight, so to really just Ollie with you, just a little bit, I guess, to start with, um, looking at those priorities and those pillars when you think back to most of the boys that are on tonight, that age, like where were you and where did you think you wanted to go, and where do you think, I guess, from a mindset, were you with a 15-year-old?
Yeah. First of all, thanks everyone for having me. It's great to be able to share sort of what I've learnt so far in my career. Obviously, at your age, I really wanted to know a lot of questions. I was really lucky to have a lot of great mentors who were able to sort of lead the way for me. But as a 15-year-old, my priorities were, I don't know. I guess my priorities were just wanting to really find out what I wanted to be in life. I just wanted to have fun as a 15-year-old, work hard, but also have fun with what I was doing at the time. And I was playing 3 sports at that age, so I thought that was really important for me to just get around my mates, do something that we all love doing. But when I got to 16 years old, I decided to really focus on my football. I made the Victorian team as a 16-year-old, and it was a really big learning curve for me because it sort of made me switch on and think, wow, I'm actually starting to get professional at what I'm doing right now. And probably before then I wasn't so professional, but when I started to, go through the ranks a little bit, my sort of brain went to switching on to, I can actually do this from 16 and onwards. From then on, my priorities completely changed. I started to focus a lot more on one goal rather than 3, and I took a lot bigger strides from then onwards.
Mate, in that time, I mean, you talked about mentors. I mean, how much were you an advocate of the game of footy? Every weekend you just glued to watching footy every weekend and watching the sport as well as tennis, but and then what sort of role models, I guess, in footy? I mean, the boys would say, okay, well, I know Jordan especially was looked up to Leighton, but also in the footy terms, he was a massive supporter of the West Tigers in the NRL. But where did that come into it, and what, I guess, becoming a bit more aware of the game and the things that you needed to work on as a young kid in the sport?
Yeah, so for me, as I said, I was really lucky to have some awesome mentors. My dad played professional tennis, so he was obviously great for me. I looked up to a lot of blokes playing football. I loved Oli, who plays for Hawthorn or who played for Hawthorn, and I think it's really important to sort of tap into as many people as you can with, as Sandon said before, asking questions at a young age. And it's super important to, as a younger kid, just practicing good habits will it will get you to your goal a lot quicker than you expect as a 16-year-old. Just, looking at what, one of your mentors or one of your idols would be doing, and try just sort of copy that in a way, but also getting help and asking questions and how to get there, because a lot of you boys probably don't know how to get there, which is a tough one, because you probably think you're going the right way, but maybe you're not. You just need someone to be sort of, giving you a push, kick up the butt or something like that every now and then, asking questions so you're going in the right direction. So it's important to continually ask questions and tap into those mentors you've got, and also look up to your idols.
Yeah, and from like a training point of view, when you made the call, as you said, and you got to the Victorian side, like did that just motivate you even more to become an AFL footballer? Like that you felt like all of a sudden I've got to
Yeah,
switch on here and do more. I've got to train harder. I got to work at things because that's what's going to be expected when I get to that level of the AFL.
yeah. Like I had a when we played as well, when I played my first under-16s national carnival, I had a shocking carnival, like complete shock. I didn't know what was going on. My I played terrible, and it was actually I was really embarrassed by how I sort of performed, and that sort of from then on I was like, nah, that's it. I'm not ever. I don't want to be playing at that level if I'm not good enough. I want to be the best. I want to get better. I want to be better than all these kids. And at that age, I didn't think I would get drafted. I wasn't confident. I wasn't. I didn't think I was that good. But once I put in the work, my mindset started to change. I started to train a lot more. I went through all the academies and was training every night for football, and playing other sports and stuff like that helped. But yeah, that was a real switch in my mind where I just wanted, didn't really want to be known as a mediocre player. I didn't want to. I wanted to play and be the best in my age group. And now I'm playing senior footy, which is awesome, and I just want to continually get better.
Yeah, so Ollie, just put this up on screen. If you were to look at that pie chart there, it's a bit of an example, but we're using it with the kids. And where would that pie chart have changed now for you from a junior mentality moving through to obviously playing AFL footy and being that professional? And I mean, what we're talking about here are the elite habits in you boys as a professional sportsman. What do you think some of those major things that you changed moving forward out of those teenage years and junior development into the pro ranks there?
Yeah, so one of the big ones is sort of social connection. I've always been pretty disciplined with that. My mates I'd always have footy or something like that on the weekends that I'd look forward to. My mates would, be partying, having fun, but sort of I knew I wanted to get to, so I had to have some compromise with that. At that age, or at 15, I was working a lot on, the skills, the body management, not so much nutrition and sleep and self-care weren't as important, but now working in a professional environment, those things are definitely one of the more important pieces of the pie chart. It's massive sleep and self-care, strength and conditioning. Because I'm living in Sydney, I'm living away from home. Football is a massive part of my life, so that a lot of that pie chart would be for football. Obviously, like Emma herself, I get a lot of help with my nutrition now and stuff like that. So living away from home allows me to focus on a lot of football stuff, but also it's really important to stay connected with family and friends and constantly, checking in and making sure you're having a good, healthy work-life balance, because life isn't all about, sport and stuff like that. It's really important. Obviously, you want to do the best you possibly can, but it's important that when you do get the opportunity to switch off, you do that. But when it's time to train and stuff, obviously, it's all systems go 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, and you spoke about that when we talked a little bit early in the week, where um, just as a young kid moving up to Sydney, obviously a big change. You're out of the family environment. You're in a town where you haven't lived before. surrounded by new mates. Big challenge as an 18-year-old. And the story that you told me, I'd love for you to share with the boys because we often challenge them in that space of time. And I guess it goes to the pillar of organization where you turned up a bit late to training one morning, I think it was.
Yeah. Well, I didn't turn up late, but that's one of the things that happened. So, for example, for me, like I was 18-year-old, going to the club. I wasn't too particularly sure on the standards of the club. I remember not rocking up to just as simple as a massage or stuff like that. Being 5 minutes late or something that's going to cost the team, everyone's punished. So, say if one of the blokes is late to training or late to a meeting or something like that, the next morning everyone is down to one of the local beaches at 6 a.m. for some knuckle push-ups in the gravel or stuff like that. Just makes you feel like shit because you're letting your teammates down. Yeah, it's absolutely rammed that we're not meant to be late, and the little things count. Which is probably a big thing, like in a football club where sort of you think that we just go out and play and that's it. No, there's a lot of discipline and stuff like that. You let one of your teammates down or you're late, and everyone gets punished. So super important to not be late.
So maybe you saying that Buddy was woken up at 6 a.m. in the morning doing knuckle push-ups with you as well?
Yeah, because of me. But from then on, I haven't been late to anything because I cannot sleep at night. No, I'm going to make Lance Franklin go to do knuckle push-ups with the whole team. It's pretty scary, but
yeah, no, that was an awesome story. So, mate, how about now? If we look at, obviously, there's so much going on in these times. I know you're back in Melbourne, back at home again, but where is the motivation for you now? I mean, you don't know what the season's going to hold, but where's the motivation for you, and what's the training and the day-to-day look like for you at the moment?
yeah, it's hard to find motivation at the moment. It's a big test. I feel like this period's a test on your actual character. For me, I'm still doing my training every day. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are my big ones. Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays like weights and stuff like that. And then weekends, obviously, just get to chill out and watch what could have been on Fox Footy or something like that. But yeah, as I said, it's a challenging time for everyone, and I don't think there's any easy way to put it, but it's really important to, stay connected. Obviously, it's great to be on here tonight. You've also got your mates on here as well, so constantly checking in. Obviously, it's great that we can still train and do stuff like that. Who knows what could happen in the next couple of weeks, but I think it's a good test for us to really push through mentally, and then I know something good's going to come out the other end. And if we do nothing about this period, you'll regret it in the future. So it's important.
And what do you think? I know there's a few. I know a few of the boys are gamers. Like, what sort of game time you average a day at the moment?
Well, I've actually got a FIFA tournament coming up, so I'm putting a bit of time into that when I can. Probably going to get whooped. It's like a lot of the players from the AFL are playing in it, so feel free to jump on and see how I go. I'll be playing as Liverpool, so yeah. Not too many hours though, Sandon, as you want to hear.
Mate, yeah, look, I'm sure a few of the lads love them to even if they need to ask you some tips on FIFA, but I'd love them to ask a few questions and probably open it up a bit. Just some things that they want to ask, or even some of the
Yeah,
coaches
cool.
that are on as well. So I'll open it up to them. So someone on there at the moment got something for Ollie. Don't all jump in at once.
Yeah, just calm down, fellas.
Ollie, where are you doing your training at the moment?
So I'm in Morris. So I'm actually training at the St Kilda ground, which is pretty interesting. I go when no one else is there, so I'm doing that with my little brother. A few like when we got told about this, everyone was told to just go home. So there's about 7 or 8 blokes who are down in Melbourne at the moment, and I'm just training at the local school just around the corner and at the Saints ground, which is pretty cool.
Okay. No, very
I've got
good.
I've
So
got a
you,
weights I've got a weights thing at home, so I'm lucky to have
okay.
that too.
All right. Excellent. All right. And do you stay in contact with your strength and conditioning coaches and all that stuff?
Yeah, they're flat out. They're constantly we're always messaging. We've got a big group chat within the club. Sort of, they're always putting in new ideas, and um, we're gonna tick off every night what we've done today, so they can just check in on us and see how we're going. And yeah, there's not much they can do, obviously being so far away, but yeah, that group chat is really really helpful, which is good for ideas and stuff.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Ollie, another
Ollie.
question. Yeah, go, Eduardo. Get into it.
Oh, oh, what? How did you find it playing in front of a crowd?
In front of a crowd. So my first game as a 18-year-old, or round one, it's a pretty surreal feeling. I've never really played in front of a massive crowd like that. So it's probably, I think there was like 40,000, or no, not that many, like 35,000 people at the SCG on a Saturday afternoon. And I
I
remember
would have been close to 50,
getting my,
Ollie, I reckon. Would have been 50.
yeah. Um, I remember actually crapping myself because I didn't even think I would kick the ball. Like, I honestly thought I was going to fresh air it because I was so nervous. But as I got another 4 touches throughout the game, I got more confident with it. I don't know, just from now, like now, I don't get nervous at all. But back then, like I've never done it before. The more you do it, obviously, the more comfortable you get with it. So it's a pretty cool feeling. I'm sure Jordan, obviously, it's different for tennis players playing. It's just you out there. So for me, I've got my teammates to get me through it. But tennis, it's a pretty special thing. A lot of people are there to see you. Yeah, it'd be different.
There's no place to hide on a tennis court.
Nah, yeah, I can't imagine it.
At the moment, would you do more strength conditioning, or are you kicking the footy with your brother? Are you getting into like footy training, or what are you prioritizing?
Um, I think it's really important to prioritize both equally. Um, Not much has changed. There's not it's more of like if you see it like a seesaw, you do too much exercise and stuff, you're going to lose your skill base. So we do about half and half, which is important. Who knows when this can come around? It could be a long time. So we're really focusing on our fitness and stuff at the moment. And during and after the sessions, we're doing as much skills as we can. They're not massive sessions, like they're probably an hour and a half, 2 hour sessions. But it's a big focus on not sort of prioritizing one over the other.
Yeah, 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 cool.
Ollie, Emma's got a question just on I guess she wanted to know which habits you had to develop. Which one were the hardest ones for you to develop for you, habit wise?
Oh, like, yeah, professionalism for sure. Um, that that's one that's really I've had to work really hard on. Doesn't just happen overnight. You gotta, as I said before, a big thing is noticing the little things. For example, for me, it's my nutrition, making sure I'm pushing that, like, um, sort of, if you think about it, like looking across the tennis court and seeing your opponent there and just thinking, what have I done to get that little edge over you? So just finding those um, little triggers that you can sort of, when you walk into the tennis court, all right, let's go. Like, that was a big thing for me, sort of taking my game to the next level, just noticing the little things, making sure I'm doing everything right, everything I possibly can to, have that edge over my opponent that he may not be doing. So, like, maybe it might be an extra 5-10 minutes, or I'm the last one off the track, or something like that you want to individualize within yourself. Could help you take it to the next level.
Well, mate, well
But yeah,
that sort of goes,
professionalism.
yeah, and that sort of goes into Coach Ebelthite's question on he's interested to know, like, during the week, how much would you put into, I guess, learning about your direct opponent for the upcoming weekend, and do you guys look to source that info, or is that one of your direct coaches do that for you?
Yeah, we have a whole team that does that. We have to do our own research as well. So, but we try not to focus on them so much. Like, yeah, it's good to know what they do. I guess it's different. It'd be different for the both sports, because I think it's important to know what they're doing, but not to a great extent, but really just hem in on what you're good at, bring your strengths. Um, do research, but make sure it's not overtaking your strengths and your capabilities, because at the end of the day, you're going to bring your strengths, he's going to bring his strengths. It's all right if as long as you're prepared for what they're going to bring, that's okay. And they're going to bring their strength. Like, it's going to happen. But it's like an arm wrestle. They're going to bring their strengths, but just how you sort of push back with yours is, how you win.
Yeah. Just from another coach, Pratty. Welcome, Pratty. What's the process for reviewing your performance in a match, and what you do, and what the coaches do?
Yeah, so after every Monday at 3 o'clock till 4:30, we do our game review. So, um, basically, we all get together and we go through the stats. We go through the trademark, which is, we have a trademark, and if we don't care about the results or anything like that. We believe that a lot of the stuff we do takes no talent. It's all about effort. It's all about the stuff that there's no talent involved. So it would be like tackling, chasing, giving 100% effort, which we have a slideshow that shows all of those efforts, which congratulates them, and then we have one that shows all of the not so good efforts, which we criticize, and making sure that we obviously pick up on the little things as well. We look at ball movement. We go through our line meetings. So there's obviously forwards, midfield, back line. We do an hour on that, and then we train it each week is different, but yeah, there's a long review process that goes into it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So that's probably where the D's get it all wrong then, is it? Or they just don't do any of that? Yeah,
No, I don't think they do that.
fair. Um, anyone else there for the boys? Any other stuff you want to ask Ollie? All right, Ollie, mate, really appreciate.
Sorry, Sam.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Ollie really quickly about switching on and switching off. I think it's a really, really important part of what you do in terms of being able to, like you said, give yourself that self-care and that mental and physical break from footy, but then having to switch back on again. So do you have anything that you do that helps you switch off and then switch on again?
Yeah, I do actually. For me, it's. I know there's a lot of techniques and stuff like that can go into it. Like, I don't know, I've heard things like you can touch your head 3 times or do something like that gets your brain triggered or something like that. We have a psychologist that tells us all these little triggers, but for me, I think just it could be we'd have 3 hours a day where we're training. So we get 2 hours on the track and then 1 hour in the gym. So I'm just making sure I give everything I can for those 2 hours. And then after I can be as lazy as I want. I can have a laugh. I can do whatever it is that I want to do, but making sure that sort of when that 2 hours and that 1 hour comes, I'm switched on. And we're really lucky because we don't have an opportunity to switch off because we're keeping each other accountable all the time, which is important. It's going to happen. You're going to switch off every now and then, but if you see it, the only way you're going to it's going to help to get better if you're, you guys are helping each other out, keeping each other accountable, not shying away from competition within yourself because it's going to help. But yeah, I don't have anything like, there's like that, we step over that white line and stuff. I guess it's when game day is different. I'll listen to music, really calm myself down, and then sort of when I'm about to run out for my warm up, that's when I sort of really start to switch on and think it's game time.
Great. No, I really like that answer. I think it's important. I think, something you've highlighted there is it's about breaking that time into that small chunk and then not shying away from competition and challenging each other to be better. And I think that's a really cool tip. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing a little bit of your game day routine as well.
Yeah, it doesn't make it as sort of when I got there as an 18-year-old, I think, wow, it's pretty overwhelming, like how much actual work you have to do. But it's just like whenever you've got to do something, making sure you're doing it 100%, and then switch off, do whatever you want after that. But when the time comes, you're on, and then obviously you can have fun and do all that stuff, which is super important as well.
Yeah, really good message, Ollie. Just one last one, and then we'll let you go. Was it tough to switch to the one sport for you, or what was your journey like?
Well, my backhand was pretty crap, so I'm not sure how good I would have been at tennis. But yeah, I just chose the battler sport. You sort of get away with it a bit more.
So what?
As Jordan said, there's no hiding on a tennis court. My backhand was crappy.
So is that like your left kick or your left foot kick?
Yeah. Well, I've put a bit of practice into that, so it actually spins backwards now, which is good.
Yeah, nice.
That's all right. Sandon's left foot's for standing on.
Yeah, that's it. Well, mate, yeah. Again, Ollie, thanks for your insights. Really good for the boys to hear some of those messages. Fantastic. I hope.
I'll hang on. I'll hang on for the next part. Listen to Jordan.
I've got one more question for you all.
Go far away, Jordan.
Yeah, when you play like a nighttime game, after the game, like with all the adrenaline and that? Do you find it hard to get to sleep, or do you have anything that will
Oh
help
yeah,
you calm down or anything?
I have shocking. I can't sleep at night.
Yeah, neither can I
But
after I play a night match.
yeah, there's just good. It's like I think it's cherry juice. It's like SAS cherry juice. Emma, have you heard of that?
Well, Emma's a sports psych. Emily's not on, I don't think. Our nutritionist. We'll have to ask her that one.
Oh, I thought she was both. Yeah, there's like
I
this
have
cherry juice
actually
that's
heard. I have heard of it when I was doing some work with swimming. It's some swimmers like to use it as well.
yeah.
I've heard of
I
I've
think
heard of it, Terry, right?
Yeah, me too.
yeah. I don't know if you. Yeah, we actually it's a tough one because I don't know. I can't sleep at night. A lot of the boys have the same problem. We can't really. We have shocking sleeps the next day or that night, and then the next day we're exhausted at recovery, and so we're
Yep.
basically zombies talking to each other. But what helps? I don't know. Just trying to, definitely, hit up whoever you hit up about that cherry juice, which is really good. But I don't take sleeping tablets and all that. Like I'd rather
Okay.
just
Yeah,
go
well,
try
yeah,
go
a
to
couple
sleep
of times
naturally.
I've taken sleeping tablets, and I've had to play the
Yeah,
next day, and I feel like I'm drunk when I wake up,
yeah.
just groggy. So might
Oh
want to
yeah,
throw those in the bin.
that's
I'm
yeah.
just
We don't have to
just
play the next day, which is
Yeah,
we can sleep the whole day.
yeah,
Yeah, actually, that's a tough one.
Just a thought on sleeping
Sorry.
tablets. The evidence is actually that's okay. The evidence is actually pretty shitty on the effectiveness of sleeping tablets. They actually don't actually improve your sleep quality. They might help you fall asleep a little bit quicker, but rarely do they improve your actual sleep quality. So I think it's great
yeah,
that you guys don't use them because it's not that great for you.
yeah.
Mm.
Awesome. Thanks, Ollie. Well, Jordo, thank you for
Nah,
being on with us as
appreciate
well.
for having me.
We'll put,
Thanks, boys.
thanks, Ollie. We'll put the focus on Jordo here for a little while, but
Yeah, beautiful. I'll get comfortable.
but just your journey to start with. I mean, you heard a bit of Ollie, Jordan. Just want you to go in, talk about early days. I guess if we talk about tennis pathways, and you're part of the National Academy up in New South Wales. What that was like, the environment, the boys, I guess, that you had around you. I mean, I know when I was with you guys at that time, you just fed off of one another, which is something that we as coaches really value. And even Ollie spoke about that just then with his message. So just really want to hear a little bit about your journey at the start, mate, and where I guess your priorities were. If you think about again the three pillars of consistency, organization, and the education part. But love to hear from you, mate.
Yeah, well, when I started, I think I would come out to the squad that you would run and coach us out to like 4 o'clock. So I'd leave school straight away, change in the car, and get out to Homebush. And I think the priority for me at that age was definitely tennis. And I didn't spend too much time in the gym at that age. Until Sandon gave me a rocket one time when it was raining, and I called up. I said, "No tennis. I'm not coming out today." And he goes, "Rain, hail, or shine, you're in the gym." So that was an eye opener. And at that time I didn't really spend too much time thinking about what I ate either. So I got to an age where it really started hurting me. My diet, I would eat lollies. I would eat the right stuff, but I would also eat the wrong stuff, and my body started killing me. I would wake up sore. My muscles were really tight, and it took one episode at the US Open, and I was eating like crap, and I lost 5 in the fifth, and I didn't cramp, but I was feeling terrible. It was hot, and my coach said at the time, "You owe it to yourself to start eating right." And ever since that day, I barely wake up sore. Yeah, I've never cramped. Even when I'm training, like if I'm doing lifting weights or running for running on the track for about 40 minutes, I don't really pull up sore. So at that age, when I was 15, I would never have thought that would have been the answer. So yeah, diet for me has changed drastically, and I'd say I prioritize more time in the gym over tennis at the moment. Whereas when I was a kid, I just wanted to get out there. I just wanted to play points, and if I lost 1 point, my hat would be on the ground, my hat would be broken, there'd be rackets flying everywhere. But now I'm only spending maybe an hour and a half on the court a day. So yeah, it's changed drastically from 15 to 25.
And what I guess, yeah, you talked about it, and I can attest to that. I know you went through a lot of hats and probably racket. Sometimes you turned up with your school shoes on, and we still make you practice with your school shoes because you forgot your tennis shoes, which plenty of our boys do that as well. I guess we've got a few boys that most of their diet when they're on the road is made up of up and goes. Did you up and go? Were you on the up and go train as well?
Oh yeah, massively. Even when I come home now, I need to get one after training just to treat myself and remember I'm back in Australia. So yeah, I was definitely on the up and go train.
Yeah. But mate, yeah, we talk about environment. I mean, can you tell the boys a few of the guys that you came up with in that environment, like, and who's still out there, and obviously different journeys and pathways from all of you lads.
Yeah, so there's a guy that I grew up playing with, Chris O'Connell. I'm sure all you boys have heard of him. Um, he was always at the squad. I think Sandon used to drive him out there. Lived in the same area. I'm still hitting with him to this day. I played golf with him the other day. He's one that's still he's really stuck with it. Different sort of journey, but he's ranked probably about 120 in the world. Other guys were Jay Andrich, Matthew Still. Yeah, there were so many guys I can remember coming out the squad, and there would be, 4 on a court, and we'd be hitting for a couple of hours, and it didn't matter what court you were on. We were always having a great time. We were all pretty good mates. But yeah, I think I can't remember how many stuck with it, but Chris O'Connell was probably the standout. I know Duckworth he was a little bit older than me. I got to hit with him occasionally. Yeah, but I'd say Chris was probably the closest one.
But you'd say it was, and I know from you, and that was a big quality that we saw in a young age from you, was that competitiveness. Just hated, you hated losing out, getting your change at dinner. So anything was pretty much a competition where you were pretty engaged all the time, competing. It didn't matter if you're on court or off court.
Yeah, even to this day, I think, when I step on the court, it's all business. I mean, sure, you sit down at the change of ends and you have a bit of a laugh with your mates or whoever you're hitting with, but every time I stepped out in the court, I just wanted to get the best out of myself. I've never tanked a session, never tanked a match. If I did that, I probably wouldn't be able to live with myself. But maybe take it to a different level when we're playing points. If I lost a point, I could make 150 balls in a row and miss one, and there'd be a racket in the side fence. So I just wanted the best for myself, and I got really pissed if I just made one error. So that still carries on to this day.
Yeah. And what do you think, going through that journey, and I asked Oli the same question with his footy, was like, where did those priorities shift for you, and you thought, I want to have a crack at this professional tennis, and again, I mean, I was around you in that time, so I know the pathways that were there for you. and making decisions and making the right decisions and sometimes making the wrong decisions. But where did that go for you? Can you try and talk us through that with well, I want to play, I want to be a professional, and what do I have to do that? What do I need to get better at?
Um, yeah, so I think I always knew that I wanted to be a tennis player, even though I played other sport until I was about 17. I was still playing soccer, touch footy. I wasn't as good at those sports, but I think when I was 17, I decided to leave my high school and do distance education. I did that from Canberra, so I'd go up to the AIS occasionally and do most. Well, when I was 18, I did most of my training there for the last four months of the year. Yeah, I also had different pathways. So when I got to that age at 18, I didn't have any ATP points, and a few people suggested I should go to college, and I really explored that option. I actually visited a few colleges. I visited Sandon's old college at TCU, visited Tennessee. So I went to USA for a week, but decided it wasn't for me. I think I was maybe ranked 600 at the time, and I told myself that I want to give it a crack, and ended up doing that. I traveled by myself through Europe, and in my first year, I think I ended up finishing 300 in the world. So I didn't know if it was the right decision going to college or not. I don't think there's a right or wrong decision, but I think I made the right one, and at the moment, I'd say I made the right call.
Yeah, mate, well done. I mean, just so pumped in your career of what you've done up to this date. I mean, the other big feather was you got to represent Australia in the Olympics. Can you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
Yeah, so 2016, I went to Rio. I think I was maybe ranked 80 or 90 in the world, and Zika virus, I think, was hitting at that time. And a lot of guys withdrew from the Olympics and gave me the green light to go. And they asked me if I wanted to go, and I said, "You guys have got to be kidding me! I've never represented my country before professionally, and grabbed that opportunity with both hands." And I think it was around Wimbledon time I got told that I would be in, and ever since Wimbledon, I was so pumped to get to the Olympics. Like that was my motivation. Biggest sporting event in the world. And I can remember training at IMG the week before going to Brazil. I was hitting with Kei Nishikori, and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm hitting with top 10 guys, and on my way to the Olympics. So, that was one of the highlights of my career.
And mate, I've just given you a bit of an entree into an opportunity here to show us the bicep, because I know you're proud of the bicep. If you want
I'm
to
more
just give us
proud
a
of
little bit.
the
There it is.
kangaroo and the emu, but it had to be
Yeah.
done.
I thought you said you were doing a lot of gym in the off at this stage. Huh?
Easy.
Well, Ollie, what do you think? What do you think of that, mate? Is that a bicep or not even
Yeah,
close?
pay it. Pay it.
All right.
Don't let the praying mantis give you any shit.
Show us yours, Sandon.
Mate, yeah, can't go there. Just hang on, I can lift it up from the back. But Jordan too, we did talk a little bit about, I guess going back to juniors and coming up with the likes of with Nick, and playing those sorts of junior matches against Nick. That they were all big matches for you at that time, playing your peer group, and that's something I thought, again, from a competition side of it, of what we're always looking for the boys. And Ollie spoke about that, trying to find that competition all the time. How important was that for you?
Yeah, so I really loved going to nationals. I can remember playing Nick when we were 16, and we'd played each other from maybe 8, 9 years old to 16, and I'd never won a nationals before. And I think I'd beaten him 16 times in a row. And we got to this 16th nationals in the quarterfinals, and I lost 7-6 in the third. And I can remember it to this day because a lot of the coaches were saying, "Oh, this is your one to win. You know, you're going to win this nationals." And probably thought about it too much. And at the end of the day, it was just a nationals. But I can remember it clear as day. I lost 6 in the third, hit 2 aces to win the match, and I can remember I didn't talk to anyone for 2 days. I probably took it a bit seriously. But yeah, I always I always look forward to those matches. You know, I always wanted to play the better guys just to see where you're at. You know, you got to welcome the competition, and even in practice, I think that's why I get so far in a practice match. You know, I just want the best for myself. I want to rise to the occasion. I want to be the best I can be. But I think when I'm going nuts in practice, that means the practice is good. The quality of opponent is really good. I mean, not that you guys should be doing this, but before the US Open last year, I was practicing with Nishikori most days, and we'd be playing sets. And yeah, I can just remember losing a set 6-3 after winning the first set and just obliterated a racket. And I think my dad had to tell me, like, "Mate, you're playing Nishikori, a top tenner. You've lost a set 6-3. You just got to calm it down." So I think that's just instilled in me to just be as competitive as I can be.
Yeah, good stuff. And in a little bit, you want to touch on, I guess we spoke about your priorities changing as a professional athlete in that space. And one of the big things that you mentioned was just the mental side of it. You want to talk a little bit about that currently?
Yeah, so I mean, in this, you know, in the strange world that we're living in right now, you know, people are saying, "Oh, you can't do anything. You know, there's not much you can do. Can't leave the house." I think that's a load of bullshit. Because I wake up every morning, and you know, I've had osteitis pubis, so I wake up every morning and do half an hour of my rehab and core before I even start the day. So like a typical day for me at the moment, just getting into a routine of doing my rehab, you know, eating clean, having breakfast, going to training, whether it be practice or gym, whichever one's first. But then every 2 weeks I speak to a sports psychologist. You know, just, you know, things that frustrate me on the court or even off the court. You know, I think I could be, you know, you can always be getting better in every aspect of your life. So, you know, I took on this opportunity of, you know, trying to make gains mentally. So, you know, I talk to a psychologist every 2 weeks, and, you know, we talk about what happens on the tennis court and what happens off the court. All I'm trying to do is, you know, gain the edge, as Oli said. I mean, if you can gain 1% anywhere else, I mean, you're getting up on your opponents. So, yeah, I've taken trying to take this opportunity to get better mentally.
Yeah, great message there, Tomo. And just in this time, I guess practice wise, you know, Oli spoke about what he's up to, and I know you're hitting a bit, but I thought it was really great. Another great message, what you spoke to me, like who you've been hitting with, and you know, you're talking about hitting with Nishikori when you're at IMG Academy, but sometimes the Nishikoris aren't around to challenge you all the time. Like right now in this environment, you know, because the boys would all know some of the people that you're hitting with. Like, is that, I mean, the fact that you're getting out there training and doing the things that you want to do and try and work on is getting you better. It's not necessarily who you're hitting with all the time. Yeah,
I mean, I think you and, you know, when you were coaching me when I was younger, and even Michael Tebbett at the time, he said, I think I turned my nose up at, you know, hitting with a girl. And he said, or you said, it doesn't matter who's down the other end of the court. You can always you can always get better. So it doesn't really faze me who I hit with. And at the moment, I'm doing gym every day except for Sunday, and I'm hitting every second day. So sometimes I'm only, you know, Monday Wednesday, Friday, I'm hitting balls, and I don't know if you guys know the people. I mean, I've been hitting with Jordan Smith, his older brother, who barely plays anymore. I hit with a young girl that my old man coaches, Taylor Lawless. And it doesn't matter who's down the other end of the court. You can always, work on what you need to work on. You can always get something out of the practice session.
Yeah, I guess my point with that too, because some of the boys have got younger siblings that they can go out and hit with, or mums and dads, or I think it's really important. And even Oli spoke about that. I know he gone out and done some skill stuff with his brother. So it's almost that bonding part of it to get something out of the time at the moment. So it's pretty good. But mate, look, awesome. Thanks for, I guess, answering all my questions. But I'd like to open it up for the boys. Anyone else got anything they want to ask Jordan? Oh, hang on. Let's go.
I actually have a couple of questions.
Oh yeah.
I just have a couple of questions. One of them's already been asked from the chat, so I'll let the chat one go first.
Okay. From Pratty, you've had a pretty consistent now the last few years when you've been in the top 50. What are the areas that are going to enable you to go to that next level of your game?
Well, every time I step on the court, I'm always, trying to work on something maybe that hasn't been going that well, or just something that I want to focus on for the session. So when my coach, or me and Krabby step on the court, we always have a goal in mind. And for us, for me, it's been serve and return. It's pretty much, they're both halves of the game. I mean, the average rally in a men's tennis match isn't too far over one, I don't think. So we're always working on first ball or first shot or return, and I think they're probably my two best areas. So I continue to work at that and try and get better and better at it. I think a lot of guys don't really focus too much on that today. I think they focus on hitting the ball up and down the middle, and for me, I could get my coach to serve from the service line, and I'll just try and make as many returns as possible. And then, we'll serve probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the end of the session, which I don't think a lot of guys do enough of. So that's where I try and make gains there, and I think that'll push me further up in the rankings.
Good stuff. Emma?
Great. So I've probably got a bit of a three-pronged question, but they all sort of fit together. So you mentioned that you get quite frustrated when you lose a point or when you make a mistake, even if it is 1 in 100 or something. How do you refocus and therefore remain composed in those moments so that you can continue playing well? And then does that bring up some self-doubt for you, and how do you deal with that self-doubt? And then I imagine with all of that, there's a lot of pressure on you as well. So my question is a little bit three-pronged around managing pressure, refocusing, and dealing with any self-doubt that might pop up in the journey.
Yeah, I've always been told, and I know that I could break a racket and come back out, and it's right behind me as soon as I do it. So I'm the next point. It doesn't really have an impact on me. It never really gives me any self-doubt. I think it's just frustration, and it's just in the moment sort of thing. I always believe that you shouldn't be on the court if you don't think you should win. So self-doubt never really kicks in. And what was the third part, sorry?
Just managing the pressure when you, like you said, there's no way.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that might be a way for me dealing with pressure. I know that some guys deal with it differently. I know Kyrgios can just run his mouth on the court, and that's his way of dealing with pressure. I think my way of dealing with pressure is, I'll either yell or, probably throw the racket or something. But I feel like that's in my behaviour, and I think that's when I'm comfortable. I put a lot of self pressure on myself. I don't think it really matters what other people think, but I think I put pressure on myself to play well, and that's probably one of my downfalls. But at the same time, it makes me determined.
Great. Thank you.
Boys, Brian, you got to come up with something for Jordan here. You've heard a lot from myself and Emma, but you guys have got to have a few questions there. Here's your opportunity to speak to Jordan, and Ollie's still on there as well.
Good question.
Yep.
Was it hard traveling for a year by yourself when you were in Europe? Or did you...
Yeah, no, it was tough. I think I was only 18, and I always had other people like book my flights and book my hotel rooms and organise the travel, the trains, buses, etc. And then I got thrown straight into the deep end, and it made me really concentrate on what I had to do, even though that was off the court. I knew what bus I had to get, what train I needed to get. Made sure I emailed hotels in advance. I think that was probably the toughest thing for me when being on my own, and just had to fend for myself and make sure I've got a roof over my head and a bed to sleep on.
All right.
Yeah.
Jordan, who would have been your main role models throughout your career, and how have they influenced you?
My main role models were Leighton for sure. I loved watching him play when I was younger, and Andy Murray, definitely. He was, even when I was playing, he was still my favourite player, even though he is still playing now. Murray, when I was a junior, he was definitely my favourite.
Donnie's asked who just on that, who's the toughest opponent that you've played against so far?
Played a
yourself.
couple of tough ones. On ranking, Murray was world number one, but I got an absolute lesson from Nishikori when I played him. I lost 1-1 in the quarters of Brisbane one year. He just absolutely waxed me, and I didn't know what to do. I can just remember him hitting shots that I've never seen before. So probably him. He was a nightmare for me.
Oh, good. And Ollie, you could have asked that, mate. You probably texting in there, but who did you ever go out?
No,
and
I didn't. Is there two Ollies in here or something? Because I did not type that.
No, there is. You're right. Sorry, Ollie.
I was rattled. I was like, did I just type that or what? I was like,
no, there's another Ollie. There's another Ollie on. So, did you ever go out?
I got another question now.
Did you ever go out and hit without a coach? Oh, that's a good question. I like it, Ollie.
Not even a few weeks ago. When I was playing New York Open after the Aussie Open, my coach Krabby was coming the following tournament, and Leighton couldn't make it either, which he did that tournament with me last year. So I just did that tournament with no coach, it was fine. I had my strength conditioner with me, but he nothing to do with tennis. That tournament went fine for me. I don't think it really matters. I mean, you don't need a coach with you every week. You don't need someone to hold your hand.
What do you do in your downtime, Tomo?
Like Ollie said, I mean, when you go hard at training, you can be as lazy as you want. So, I'll watch 2.5 Men Seinfeld for hours until I have to get going again. So I'd say a lot of TV. I'll just sit on the couch and be a sloth for a while or play Nintendo Switch. But even then, I'm too wrecked from training to even be bothered.
You wouldn't jump on with Oli and play for Liverpool then? No good.
Well, I like the team choice, but I don't think I'd be much help.
You need to start recruiting some of these boys. I'm sure they're not bad. Given that you're hard on yourself, Tomo, what percentage of the time are you happy with your workout?
Yeah, not too often. I'm disappointed. I mean, you can't hit the ball unbelievable every session, and I think I accepted that a long time ago. But yeah, one thing that stuck out for me is someone told me the stats of men's tennis, and guys in the 50 are actually losing more points than they win in their career, and they play. The most common rally in a men's match is 1.1, I think. So that really opened my eyes, thinking I don't really need to hit the ball that well to be playing well. You could serve and return well, and I could use my wheels and scrape out a match. So that took the pressure off. Hitting the ball unbelievable from the back. It's what you do to win points. So not really too fast if I'm not hitting the ball that well. There's always another way you can win points.
A good message, mate. I like it. Were you always ranked number one in Australia for your age group?
You might know more than me. I don't think so. I think Saville was.
I don't
He
think
was
you
number
ever
one
were ranked.
the whole way. Yeah, I don't think so. Not until we got out of juniors, out under 18. So Luke Saville was he's my age, and he was world number one junior. But even at that point, I think I was always around 3 or 4, just scraping in to make tours. I don't think I was ever
I do
number one.
remember that. Sometimes you missed out on tours because you were just outside that group for a little while.
Yeah. So definitely wasn't number one. Only when I got out of juniors.
Tomo, you mentioned that that when you wake up in the morning, kind of a ritual to start your day is kind of doing your core work for a bit of body management. Are there any kind of other body management or recovery techniques you use other than your basic ones like stretching and things like that?
Obviously when we're in full training mode and I'm not doing house workouts and runs around the park here, I'll always get in the ice bath after I finish for 10 minutes. Don't necessarily put my whole body in, but it's always probably up to my abs or at least my hips are going in. And if all else fails, I'll jump in a pool wherever I can, whether it be the hotel or a pool at my house in America. So I'm always trying to probably do the hydrotherapy. I think that helps me the most.
Jordan, quick one. What's the go with your review? Like, so when you play, do you have anything you do after? Do you look back over a match, or does your coach sort of just, or do you feel it like on the court?
So if my coach will watch it, whether it's live or watching it through a screen, pretty much straight away. We'll talk about the match and what I could have done better, what I could have done better tactically, what I could have done better myself, whether that be coming to the net a little bit more or taking a few steps inside the baseline, trying to take the ball earlier. But yeah, we'll always talk about it directly after the match, and if not, if it was a night match, we'd talk about it the next morning and get it done as soon as possible.
Sweet, thanks.
Tomo, you did talk about, which I thought was really a cool thing when you were in Melbourne as well, like during the off season, because I guess you mentioned a bit of cross training that sometimes you went out and trained with a few of the footy clubs there, which I thought was great. I know there's an opportunity for the tennis guys when they're in Melbourne to get out there and train with a few of the footy lads, and I think that's something that some of our boys can take away from, and that cross training aspect to make it a bit of fun. As we know, Oli, from footy training, there's a lot of running, and you guys, especially the midfielders, are doing some serious running. But from a tennis side of it, there's probably both of that. You've got to be looking for endurance, but at the same time, you're looking for that really, short, sharp movement sort of thing. But I guess it's what I'm saying for our lads is to try and go out and do some different things in this time to keep it fresh and to do some other skill work, which you may not think that you're working out, but you are. Whether you go kick the footy or kick the soccer ball, or play basketball, but any of those extra sessions that you can get in, especially this time, it was great. And I guess Jordan, you were able to do that a little bit in a few of the off seasons.
Yeah, a couple of off seasons ago when I did my off season in Australia, I trained with a couple of the AFL teams down in Melbourne. I think I can remember St Kilda doing a few interval running sessions, around Melbourne Park, and yeah, they flogged the hell out of me. Tennis is a running game, but nowhere near as much as AFL. They're covering Ks and Ks and Ks, and I can remember how fit those boys were, and they were some of my most memorable sessions were with the AFL guys. They can run.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Look, I just again like to really thank Jordan and Oli for coming on tonight. It's a different forum, and I hope you boys appreciated them coming on. I think it was really good feedback, just hearing their journeys, and they're both, Jordan's 25. Well, Oli, you 21 now?
21, yeah.
21, still young, and really at the peak of not even at the peak of their careers. So plenty of time for you lads to keep working on the things that are better, which are the organization side of things, your consistency, and keep educating yourselves to get better. We're always, as the boys spoke about, those little 1%, that they can define you. And that competition is really important. But you hear it from myself, you hear it from Milo, you hear it from the coaches of pushing that message home. And I guess really appreciate both Jordan and Oli coming on tonight and sharing their journeys with us. So thanks, guys.